RetroforceGO!
And welcome back. Hello, listeners. This is your lovely host, Dyson. Not actually lovely in real life.
Yes, you are very lovely.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's like saying to someone like, oh, you're not fat. No.
That's not
You're
true
big
at
bone.
all.
No, I'm just fucking with you guys. Special guest today, semi-bucket, semi-not. We'll have a new person in the bucket as much as we can in the following weeks. But today, it's our friend John Lee, the Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Hudson. Did I get that right?
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Okay, sure. Yeah. He built himself the TurboGRAFX 16. He hewed it from the river.
Yeah, if we're going to rewrite history, I was the one who created it.
Yeah, he invented it. And if you open up any TurboGRAFX 16, it says, "To my fans, love John Lee." Every time. No,
So nice.
I don't know. But this is our TurboGRAFX 16 episode, and hooray, listeners, it's not a Nintendo episode, so they're getting a little tired. But we were just going to talk about the TurboGRAFX 16. It was awesome. Also, Hudson in general. That's why I'm glad to have John on the show. So thanks for coming on, dude.
No problem. I'm really glad I stumbled across you guys at a nightclub drunk. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be here again.
Yeah, actually, John and I met at the Game Tap Christmas party, and everyone was just shit-faced, yourself included. I meant yourself. I meant myself. Sorry. Well, no, it's funny because like
everyone else seems drunk when you're that drunk. Huh?
Well, oh my God, it's CTZ was there, and like I was talking to John, and I was just like, "Oh, you're John Lee." So we like this. He's a friend of the site and stuff like that, and I was like, I never met him in person. Then we were talking about the TurboGRAFX. I said, well, we gotta have a TurboGRAFX 16 episode of Retroforce, and you have to come on the show and blah blah blah. And he's like, yeah, no problem. I swear, I got it. And he walks away, and I look at Hums. I'm like, could he tell that I was totally shit faced or not? I don't know. Because I was just like,
Probably.
Probably. And Hams was like, well, you repeated yourself a couple of times, but you're all right. I was like, thank God. Let's go get more beer.
I was wondering if you wanted to come on my show, and if you're not busy, could you come on the show?
Yeah. And about the show, can you come on it?
It sounded just like how it went down.
Yeah, so.
Good times.
That's me making friends a 6-pack at a time.
Friends, drinking.
That's fucking awesome. All right, so I don't even know where to start. Chad, you had a TurboGRAFX 16.
Yes.
So did I. Topher, Colette, you guys did not have one. My
I actually never
one.
had one. I had a friend who had one. I used to go over his house all the time and play it, but I never.
You
had
hear a
one
lot
of my
about
own.
that.
Yeah, that was
a lot about the friend whose friend had one.
Totally.
That was one of the themes in the comments from the post today. Like everyone.
Yeah,
everyone
my
had a
cousin or
friend.
my neighbor. Nobody ever had one.
Inevitably, wasn't that one friend the coolest one on the block?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was like
actually, he was.
It was like the fucking, what do you call it? Like the high echelon of video game systems, because it was fucking expensive when it came out, wasn't it? It was like $250 or something like that.
Well,
Yeah, it was the first one.
Yeah, and then
I don't think it was
wasn't
that expensive.
It wasn't too bad, but what I remember wanting really badly was the TurboGRAFX CD, and it was $399.99 when it came out.
Yeah.
Expensive.
Right? Is that right,
That's
John?
expensive. No, it was $399, and I know you didn't work there at the time, John, but why? Why the hell was it $400?
Well, the Turbo CD was the first CD-based console system that was ever launched, and in many ways it was way ahead of its time. So, be it what it may, that was just how expensive that kind of hardware was to put together. So,
Now, like the Sega CD was $300 when it came out, and the Turbo CD was $400. And that's pretty expensive, like back in the day. I mean, it's expensive now, but still, back in the day, it's pretty expensive for an add-on. And my question. Actually, I was just thinking of this now. It's like most console makers always sell their system at a loss, because they make the money in their software sales. Did they sell that at a loss? Was it still at a loss at $400, or was it like, well, it's really fucking expensive, and so we're going to charge you what it costs?
Well, I think this is me reflecting back, and a lot of this information I want to say is my opinion. Not necessarily fact, because what I have found out since I've been here, a lot of the history in the last 15-some years regarding the TurboGRAFX and even Hudson has just been completely lost. It really wasn't well documented, and for me, it was just like a treasure trove find of going back and talking with different people from NEC to Hudson Japan, and trying to piece together like a mystery. So from my understanding, this is how I would interpret it, NEC was the console manufacturer. That was our big partner that brought the TurboGRAFX system to the U.S.
Okay.
Because they were only responsible for the hardware, they had to make a profit on the hardware. Whereas Hudson was responsible for the software publishing sides. So you're probably right. The hardware was launched at a price point where, at least for them, they had to at least make $1 because there's no way for them to have recouped on the software sales.
Right.
That makes sense.
Oh, that's weird. Okay, yeah, because it was like $250, and I remember it was really fucking hella expensive, and that's why everyone was like, "Oh, my friend had one," or like that rich kid in town had one.
Yeah, I didn't have one because we were poor.
Kid in town.
I got one because I worked my ass off to save up the money to buy one, and I was far from ever being a rich kid. So, fuck you.
Well, look where it's got you today in life. You know, you're now doing something in games.
Yeah, I owe everything where I am today to the TurboGRAFX 16 in Hudson. I'd like to accept this award for excellence in podcasting, and I'd like to thank Bonk's Adventure, Blazing Lasers,
Blazing Laser
loves you.
and the Turbo Express. That's awesome. No shit. No, what was it? The TurboGRAFX 16. I know everyone knows this, but it wasn't technically a 16-bit system, wasn't it?
Oh, we ain't going back on that again, are we?
Oh no!
No, I'm only mentioning it for the sake of mentioning it, because someone's gonna go like, "Oh, you didn't mention it." It's like
it had an 8-bit. It was an 8-bit, but it had 16-bit graphics, though, right? I think.
Yeah, you know, you can define it in many different ways. I won't get into the too technical, and you know, if you really want to cheat, you could say 8 plus 8 equals 16.
Right.
But there were some chipsets that were 16-bit, but you know, the way the system was launched, it was originally brought over from Japan, and it was the PC Engine over there.
Yeah.
So the technology, when it did launch, was actually far in advance of where the NES was. So when Sega and Nintendo went and developed their system, they definitely had the advantage of developing systems much later, well over a year and a half to 2 years after the PC Engine came out. So at the time, the definition of 16-bit, you know, worked just fine. You know, it was, in many ways, a great marketing coup for Sega, and Nintendo really sort of tout that theirs were true 16-bit systems. But, you know, if you really kind of look back, you know, the early games that were brought over were great, and the latter half of that were even better because they were able to really kind of open up the hue card to go far beyond the initial 4 meg size limits. And that's kind of where you know, the graphics and the gameplay and everything sort of, you know, took a jump.
Well, I mean, I don't care. Like, I'm just happy with it as a system. But I just wanted to mention it because people are like, it's not really 16, and it's just like, whatever. It says 16 on the box. But you mentioned the PC Engine, which is actually the original TurboGRAFX 16. That was hugely popular in Japan, in fact. And a lot of people mentioned the comics, but what a lot of people I'm assuming this is true, but the Super Nintendo wasn't designed to compete with the Sega Genesis. Super Nintendo was designed to compete with the PC Engine, wasn't it?
It was. At the time, the PC Engine had the dominant market share because it launched first, and then when Nintendo came on the scene, they eventually became number one. But the PC Engine was by far the second largest one in terms of market share. The Sega Genesis or the Mega Drive in Japan really didn't make a blip at all in that particular market. And so it had a huge following. It sold several million units in terms of consoles, and was really the de facto choice for many gamers because, especially for the Japanese, they love their shoot-'em-ups, they love their RPGs, and that was really kind of where the console system had its real strength at.
Like Blazing Lasers?
Blazing Lasers and R-Type and, you know...
like the other
Superstar Soldier.
Superstar Soldier, every game released on Nintendo's Virtual Console.
Yeah, it just seems like there was a lot of shooters in the U.S. There was actually quite a bit more diversity in Japan, well over, I think, 400 games by all said and done. It was just that when we brought over the games from Japan, we had to translate a lot of them very quickly, and of course the easiest ones to translate are shooters because, you know, how much text is really in that kind of game.
Right.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I have no
But it
complaints
actually
about
has
that at all.
way more I mean, the whole story past behind how the TurboGrafx ultimately came about, you start to understand why things kind of went the way they did. So, for instance, one of the reasons why we had to pump out so many games for the U.S. market and why so many shooters ultimately came out was because Hudson launched the dominant majority of all the games on the TurboGrafx system. I think well over like 75%. So, back in the day, launching about like 100 games within a 2-year period, that's just a ridiculous undertaking.
Yeah.
And a lot of it had to do with the way the market was structured back then. And not many people know this, but when 16-bit sort of came out, Hudson actually did go out and try to talk with a bunch of third-party publishers, from like EA at the time to a bunch of other ones. We couldn't get them to sign on board because they were locked into an exclusive agreement with another console publisher. And so that was really the challenge for us, was to get third parties on board to publish for our platform. And quite frankly, by the time everything sort of played out, the system was already being dominated by the other consoles.
Aww.
Yeah.
That's sad. The TurboGrafx 16 was it's a good system.
I loved it.
Yeah,
it was a great system. I loved it too.
Oh, go ahead, Chad.
I just have a real quick question. What was the decision behind the fact that they didn't have two controller?
That's going to be my question. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember when I was that age, and I got the TurboGrafx, I was so bummed. I loved the games, but I was so bummed that I couldn't play with 2 players.
Good question. I'm not entirely sure. I can't necessarily say. My general thinking is, does anyone remember if the PC Engine had one control pad? I think it
had
did.
One. Yeah, it only had. I've seen a picture. I don't own one, but I was looking at it today. It only had a thing for one controller.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's probably a carryover design from the Japanese side.
That makes sense.
Because the Japanese have no friends, is what?
Very
game, and it's you, and that's it. There's no two players.
The concept of playing together with more than just 1 or 2 people really sort of wasn't that prevalent back in the day. I mean, it's not like today where you have massively multiplayer games and many control ports that you can link in at once. It was, however, the first system really kind of brought about the Turbo Tap, which just lets you to play with so many multiplayer games at once. And I think the system actually developed a pretty big following for multiplayer games. They just didn't expect that would be the case, quite frankly. But when they launched Dungeon Explorer and Motor and
I love that
Bomberman.
Bomberman 93.
That really set the tone for that. But they didn't anticipate that, quite frankly.
Yeah,
I can imagine somebody at Hudson's like, damn. Maybe we should put more controller ports on this thing.
Actually, that is really ironic because it's like there was only one controller port, but I did buy one of those multi-tap things, or the Turbo Tap, and I remember Bomberman 93, even to this day, is one of my favorite multiplayer games ever, so it's kind of funny that one of my favorite multiplayer games came on a system with only one controller port.
It's a bit ironic. They carried over some things, but the other, if you ever take a look at the PC Engine compared to the size of the TurboGrafx system, I mean, the TurboGrafx system is a massive-looking hunk of piece of plastic, and it really didn't need it big because, quite frankly, the PC Engine was such a tightly compacted and really ahead of its time type of design.
Mm-hmm. It was teeny.
It's almost like a third of the size of the TurboGrafx system.
Yeah, it's pretty small. Like we saw one when we were at PAX. They had this Pink Godzilla was selling import and old retro game stuff. And they had a PC Engine, and for some reason I'm holding my hands a certain distance apart as if anyone can see me. But
I can see you.
There you go.
I can feel you.
Yeah, use the force. It's about I don't know, almost 6 or 5 inches by 7 inches. Like the thing's freaking small, and it's got that just a little card port and a plug, and that's it. But I what's up with the cards? Why? I know the Sega had their cards for their Master System. You could buy a cartridge, or you could get a little card, and the game would be on it. But the TurboGrafx was all different. But their Hue cards,
I loved it.
Yeah, the Hue cards were actually, I loved them because they were the type of credit cards you carry them around with you. It was really actually a marvel of design. Hudson back in the day, and I would say even to this day, really was a big R&D company. I would say more than any of the publishers back then. They had a pretty big R&D department, which is why they eventually designed the TurboGrafx system and a lot of other toys and technology that you don't necessarily see. But the Hue card was a Hudson invention, and Hue, of course, stands Hudson. So when they designed this, they said, we wanted to find something that was durable but very portable as well. And so that kind of carried over forward to how the PC Engine was designed, which is this compact type machine. So it was really more about just designing something that was really elegant than anything else.
Oh, cool. No, I just thought that was weird. There's no difference really between like a cartridge and the card, right? Like it's not some sort of like weird like magic thing. Like I don't know why. I guess it's just like obvious. Like if you look at a cartridge, you're like, oh, there could be so much more memory in that than a card. But just because of the size, and that's obviously wrong, I'm sure.
Yeah, but you don't think that today, now that everything's super flat and everything. I mean, it seems to me, as an adult looking back at it, that it makes it feel as if the TurboGRAFX cartridges were ahead of their time in being that size and shape.
Yeah, but at the time, you're like, oh, they're so tiny, this game must be like really low.
It could be. I mean, there was a mentality back then that, the bigger the console, the bigger the cartridge looked like, the more game you think you got. So in terms of design, how small it was, I remember those things. Those were like the size of bricks.
Yeah, exactly.
They were.
Yeah,
they're huge.
Those things were enormous.
And so much game inside.
It's the best game that $250 can buy.
It's like the Genesis. I don't know if any of you guys went through this, but like I had the original Genesis, and it was huge, as you all know. And then maybe 10 years later, I guess, or 7 years later, they reissued the smallest Genesis, which is about the size of like a large man's wallet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So small. There were 3, and I remember getting it and thinking to myself, what was in that big casing anyway? Nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
There was a note from John Lee, like, "Hey, buy a TurboGRAFX, love, Charlie."
Will you ever crack open an Atari 2600?
Yes.
Like the actual
There's
case,
nothing in
nothing, right?
There's nothing in it.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
I used to run a little sort of business almost back in high school, fixing old consoles for my friends. And if you crack open a 2600, like there's nothing in it. It's just one like piece of breadboard and just a couple of wires. Like it's empty.
Yeah, that's it. And there's like, I don't know, like corn or something. They just filled it full of corn.
For weight.
Well, all right, Chad, I know you had a TurboGRAFX.
Yes.
My motivation for buying it originally was like the graphics were awesome compared to what was out at the time, and it had some really kick-ass games, and it was just cool. I mean, it was expensive but cool. But like, what was your motivation for getting one?
Similar reasons. I mean, I was a huge nerd, big surprise, and I didn't have very many friends.
No.
So every time a new console came out, I would like want it so bad. And my birthday's in September, and I think the TurboGRAFX, from what I remember, came out in August. And I remember being like, "Ooh, perfect timing for a birthday present." And I wasn't as kind and generous as I am today. When I was little.
I don't believe you.
You were a little tyrant, is what you're saying?
I was a little bit of a pain. I think it's because I didn't have very many friends. And I remember
maybe this is why you didn't have very many friends.
I remember begging my parents for it for my birthday, like a little snobby kid. And I think I just heard rumblings that they were probably going to get it for me. And I remember come the end of August, I think it was 2 weeks before my birthday, I threw a temper tantrum, forcing them to tell me if they got it for me. And I literally didn't stop screaming until they finally admitted. I know, it was horrible. And then until they finally admitted that they bought it, and they pulled it out and gave it to me 2 weeks early. And they were like, yeah, and then...
Wait a minute, all right.
So I got it on pretty horrible terms.
Hold on. The TurboGRAFX 16 came out when I was in high school, and you're only like, you are literally, I think, a year or two younger than me.
No. It came out in like 1989, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, 89.
Yeah. I was like 13.
Weren't you in high school?
No, I was in 8th grade.
Oh, that's a little 13-year-old temper tantrum. That's adorable.
I know.
Wow. Must have been highly effective for your parents to buy you the system.
No. And give it 2 weeks early. Not only did they buy it, but they gave it to him 2 weeks before his birthday.
I'm not even joking. Like, this is one of the reasons the TurboGRAFX means so much to me and my family, because I feel so horrible about that time in my life that still to this day, I still apologize to my parents. Like, if my parents ever buy me something nice for my birthday, I say, I just want you to know that I apologize profusely for how horrible I was when I was younger. A TurboGRAFX 16. But the good news is, when I did get it, I absolutely adored it, and like I have so many good memories of how many great games were for it. So it was all worth it, I guess. But I still feel awful about doing it for my parents.
Thank God for bratty kids, because at least help line our pockets.
Yeah, I know.
It's true. I guess I helped the company by being a jerk.
I know, there's someone that always wants to know, like, well, how come like the TurboGRAFX didn't do so well in the United States, and it's because you guys didn't bitch hard enough. That's why.
Exactly. If you kids bitched hard enough back then, we would be thriving in TurboGRAFX 128-bit Ultra Edition.
Yeah, the TurboGRAFX 360.
That's
Actually,
okay.
John, I had a quick question for you, actually. Like, do you think that one of the reasons I love the TurboGRAFX so much was because it was so different, and like all the games that came out for it, in particular, one of my favorite games, actually maybe my favorite game, Air Zonk. No, I adore that game. Like, it's a shooter, but it's like a crazy ass shooter. Like, I mean, it's the weirdest thing ever. Like, but it's so cool and quirky and different. And that console released a lot of games like that. And I'm just wondering if you think that nowadays, with like the fact that we have, the Xbox 360 and the PS3 and the Wii, and like they're all pretty huge hits, do you think it'd be possible for a fourth console to actually compete with like these other major consoles, like something like the TurboGRAFX did? Do you think that could happen nowadays?
That's an interesting point. I think what you see in any sort of market in history sort of shown that once you get beyond 3 consoles, it's already difficult for the fourth one to survive, let alone the third one. It usually becomes a dominant sort of player in the space, if not split evenly. And I think it's even more difficult today because gamers have so many other choices too that they proactively play on, from like the PC to handheld. So I don't think it would be possible. I mean, we sort of fantasized about relaunching the new Turbo version, and when Nero was in Japan, he even threw that kind of question out at some of the old school Hudson guys, and they had a good laugh at it. We probably would never, go back in and try to do something like that. Fundamentally, we're content creator. I mean, we like to create fun, and hardware is such a different business.
Oh yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely.
Gut wrenching. And Sega, granted, has done really well with it. It also kind of nearly killed them as well. So you have to really believe in your hardware to really want to go after it. That's for sure. It had deep pockets. I think that's the second one.
Oh,
Hudson has never been a company with deep pockets. It's always been someone who's partnered with somebody. So
yeah. Well, I can guarantee you that if Hudson decides to make a TurboGRAFX 16.2, The Revenge, then you're guaranteed to get at least 4 people to buy it.
Yeah, I would totally.
Because I know all of us would be there like on day one in
without
line.
a doubt.
Well, as I was telling John, in my drunken stupor, I was asking him. They did make a sequel to the TurboGRAFX 16, and I think it was only released in Japan. It was called the Super Graphics.
Oh yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah.
And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I've worked at Hudson. I for like forever and ever. And they used to have all this shit, but they got rid of it one day." And I was like, "Do you have a Super Graphics?" I'm like, "That's he's. Oh no, I don't have one." And I wish you did, but they did make a sequel, right?
Well, the Super Graphics, they had many variations of upgrades. So, yes, they had the Turbo Duo, which is launched in the U.S. In Japan, they had all sorts of PC Engine, different sort of add-ons. And so when they wanted to sort of think of the next generation, you're right, they did make a Super Graphics system. However, what they did was really bet on the wrong kind of gaming that people wanted to play. The system was very robust, but not truly next gen. If you could probably call it 1.5. And the kind of technology and the things that they put into it really didn't match what gamers wanted at the time.
Well, what did they want though? Like it was. Well, it was a powerful system. I'm just curious. Like, what did they put? Like chess games on it or something?
At the time, it was actually. I'm trying to recall back now. It launched so late in the life cycle that they didn't really get too far with it to even think what to do to support it, because I think they only even launched about 4 to 6 games on the whole platform. And a lot of what they were betting on, quite frankly, was in, I want to say FMV type of games, but it definitely wasn't the kind of games that required a lot more RAM. It was pretty much very RAM deficient, if you will, and those kind of games that could play very well, like on a, I'm talking about at my ass now. So I have no clue.
All right, cool. No worries. I was just gonna see how far you were gonna take that.
And I'm like, daggone, I have no clue.
You're like, fuck, I don't know. God, they had to ask about the super graphics. I thought I was just going to talk about Bonk for an hour. Fuck.
I would love that.
All I know is
don't know.
System came out very late in our life cycle when we were exploring this, the console market, and as a result of that, it only released about maybe 6 games on the whole thing, and they pretty much cut their losses there. Said, we're going to go back to being a publisher.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Well, since I mentioned it, let's talk about Bonk, because you guys made a whole assload of fucking cool mascots, and Bonk was the mascot of TurboGRAFX.
Bonk's awesome. The end.
Yeah.
The end.
Next subject: Keith Courage and Alpha Zones.
Chad, you have such conviction on any one given topic. It's just as soon as you say something, it's over.
Yeah.
Everything is very extreme in my life. It's either the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. Literally, go back and listen to every podcast, and everything will be the best thing ever or the worst thing ever. I'm never in the middle.
You're right.
Why do we even have 5 out of 5 dolphins? It's just, no, yes, done.
Yeah.
I'm Chad Concelmo, and I don't approve of this message.
I loved Bonk, though. I thought, beside the fact that Bonk was just an awesome character, it actually was a really, really fun, really well-designed game. All 3 of them, actually. Or however many there were.
No, there was Bonk's,
guess.
and there was Bonk's Revenge, and was there one more Bonk?
Yeah, Bonk 3, Bonk's Big Adventure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all available on the Wii Virtual Console.
Whatever happened with that, John? Because you guys, that was back in the days, everybody had a mascot, right? There was Sonic, there was Mario, and then there was Bonk. And so even though you guys stopped making, what I'm looking for, hardware, why haven't you guys progressed with that Bonk IP at all? What happened? How come we don't have Bonk versus Mario at the Olympic Games or something?
Well, I'll tell you what, you guys are going to be in for a treat here, because this is the first time I'm going to talk about this in pretty explicit detail, and it's a fascinating dig through history, really. Hudson, at the time when about Bonk 3 came out, was thinking about blowing Bonk up even further. But that was about the same time they had pulled out console market. And in that effort, when they were shutting down their U.S. Office, pretty much all sort of knowledge of the U.S. market had just been sort of lost. In other words, they didn't follow up on it. So quite literally, overnight, Bonk just disappeared from the U.S. market. It was never because the sales didn't do well or the products weren't any good. It was because they became very Japanese-centric. Now, what's interesting is that Bonk in Japan had never did well. It was never considered a mascot character, partly because, the TurboGRAFX or the PC Engine there was already doing so well. They didn't need something like that to sort of wrap their head around. And the character, in many ways, is very irreverent, and I think appealed much more toward American gamers than the Japanese gamers did. So for them, they're like, well, Bonk is just another character. We'll just let it lie. So when I came on board here, Hudson, a couple of years ago, that was the first thing I did. I dug through everything to try to find out whatever happened to Bonk and why have we never brought him back. And the more I discovered, the more it's fascinating that everyone in Japan just didn't realize how big Bonk was. So I actually put together this Bring Back Bonk type of campaign here in Hudson, U.S. Did all the research behind the character, and back then he was competing against Sonic and Mario in terms of trying to generate market share and awareness. He was probably one of the few million unit sellers for Hudson at the time as well. Got cover stories. Really, everyone loved him here. And I even put together this 8-minute long presentation of all these different game editors saying how much they love Bonk from back in the day, and they wanted to bring him back. And I brought this all back to Japan, and they were completely blown away. They're like, really, we had no idea this was the case. And that was, to me, an absolutely fascinating find. What was even more fascinating was that at the time, I also had worked with a small group here at Hudson Entertainment and put together a next-gen version demo of Bonk that we wanted to showcase to them what it would look like if we brought him into the world today.
No way.
And it looked phenomenal.
Yeah, we need to see this.
Yeah, I need to see that right now.
I want you're now contractually obliged to show this to us.
We'll have to figure out how to do that. So when we showed them, they bought it. They eventually got it, and they said, you know what? This is a great idea, and we're going to greenlight the project. However,
oh no,
oh, it's killing me.
Yes, there is a however to this whole story, and it does get more interesting. What they budgeted for us, we determined that it could not be done and still be what I would consider a AAA product. And so, in other words, they really wanted to kind of test the market first of like, well, brought him back on, certain platforms. Can we do this in a smaller way to really see if the market is ready for, such a revival of such a long-lost character? And we were pretty adamant that if we were to bring him back, he had to be AAA, that there was really only one shot with him. Mm-hmm. And so we decided to sit and wait until everyone was on board and really on the same page on, that particular aspect. So, in essence, a next-gen Bonk is greenlit, but we're waiting for the right timing in terms of how to bring him back.
Huh.
Wow.
Awesome.
This is
Chad, are you alive?
Literally,
what I mean to say is, have you died of joy?
My head almost exploded. I just ran around my room a couple of times.
Were you waving your shirt around your head?
Yeah, I'm waving my shirt around. I'm clicking my heels.
I have to be honest, it really excites me to know that you guys haven't just shelved it and said, that was a great character for its time period, but there it is and that's done. I think that the resurgence of retro fans alone, not to mention all the people that would go, oh, Bonk, like kids, teenagers who didn't know who he was, would go, oh, what is this? I just think that would be thrilling to see that reappear,
Mm-hmm.
See, for me,
that's what I think
great.
of.
I love the character. I mean, he has such a irreverent sort of nature about him that you can use to, if you were to bring him back in the world today, there's so much right material of what you can parody with a character like that and get away with it. And we had some pretty cool ideas in terms of new gameplay mechanics and, how to pull it off. So, the reason why I even bring this up is not to sort of dash hopes that, a project like this may or may never come, but really sort of continue this groundswell of interest among the fans, because one thing that we have been very proactive in is listening to where the market pulses and saying, look, if people are really saying they want this back in a certain way, we eventually start acting on that. So for me, to kind of throw it out there is a bit of a plea even to say, hey, look, if I can get this kind of support in the marketplace and people say they really want it, then perhaps that's enough of a catalyst to, get the project to the point where we would love to work on it again.
So, yeah.
So we need, to get a petition going or something like that?
We just need Chad to throw a fucking tantrum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
You know what? I'm going to unleash Chad half naked in the Japanese office and say that we're not taking them back until you greenlight this.
Chad's going to be running around with his shirt waving in the air, half naked, going, I want Bonk! I want Bonk! I want Bonk! Freaking out the Japanese cop.
You guys are making joke right now, but no joke, I would go in the office right now and do that. That's how much I love Bonk.
Right now, Chad is the same guy who told me when I first met him in LA that he would like to streak through the Oscars naked with Destructoid written all over his body.
Just to get the sight some traffic.
Just to get the sights and traffic. So I want to point out that if you think he wouldn't do it, you're wrong.
Oh, I'm not saying he won't do it. I'm actually hoping he does do it.
Yes.
I'm all about edgy marketing and generating attention.
Oh my gosh! If I can be the sole person to bring back Bonk, I will die a happy man.
Oh man, we'll make you a boss character in that, and in fact, your boss character be you half naked running around.
Just so you guys know, I'm gonna give you forewarning. I'm about to pass out.
Well, on that same topic, not Chad's passing out, but Bonk. I remember reading, and John, you can correct me, but I think I'm right on this. That there was a Bonk game planned called RPG Genjin that was planned for PC Engine but never came out. I assume that if you guys were going to do a new Bonk game, that you would aim for something that would be in the general adventure genre, not RPG. What I'm getting at is RPG would be too niche for Bonk to ever go into, do you think?
I've heard about that, but I honestly don't know too much about it. I think for us, in terms of the concept of trying to bring it back next gen, was to how do you make it so that it's not just a literally two-button type of game that in the old school one really was just about. I mean, his only attack mechanic really was just to bonk the hell out of things. So we added a lot of different interesting dimensions to it that at this point I'm not exactly sure I'm going to say because
No. I understand.
A little too far for me.
He's like,
I understand.
Like, he's gonna get a phone call tomorrow. Like, so John, about the show you did last night. Let's discuss what you shouldn't have said.
Your office in a box and there's a front door. It's been nice knowing you.
Yeah,
it's been really nice knowing you. No, I guess I hate to say it, but I'm always trying to I'm always hoping that I'll see favorite characters somehow get drafted into RPGs the way that Mario and Luigi got their own RPG game, and I loved it. And I'm always hopeful. I'm just daydreaming is all that's happening over here.
That's awesome. Well, hey, I know that you looked over some of the comments in the post today, and 2 comments though. Side note: Ghost and was it AJ42? Thanks, glad you make it. Welcome to the site. But for you, yeah, you looked over some. I talked to John earlier in the show. Sorry, I'm just going to keep stuttering and repeating myself. And I talked to John before the show, and he said he saw some comments that would provoke a lot of interesting stories. And I'm wondering which ones those were, and any juicy tidbits you can tell us of the dark underbelly of Hudson Entertainment.
Underbelly of Hudson is soft and furry like a puppy.
Of course it is. It's like furry belly.
You're like, we made bonk. Come on.
Well, one thing that people always ask me about is ultimately why did you think the TurboGRAFX lost a 16-bit race? And it's a pretty interesting sort of story. I'm going to call it that because at this point for me, it's been trying to piece together different viewpoints to try to get back together what exactly happened so we can eventually put it on A&E special type of thing.
I was going to say, it sounds like an True Hollywood story. You're going around.
It is a great True Hollywood story. But this is from my understanding what happened from back in the day. So they had a competitive advantage when they first launched. The system had great games. I think a few people argue with that. So it wasn't the games that ultimately killed it. What happened was that because we were partnered with NSC back in the day, and when they made their rounds around retailers, this was the start of the new 16-bit generation, and the retailers are lapping it up. They loved the system. They loved everything about it. And they encouraged NEC to make a huge amount of initial product, hardware units. And so they did. And what that ended up happening and doing was that it committed a lot of financial dollars towards hardware.
Uh-huh.
And so when Sega and Nintendo came along, these guys took a very different approach. And they understood the U.S. market, quite frankly, and I will admit, better than Hudson did. And they understood that marketing was going to drive the sales. Mm-hmm. And they were just utter marketing juggernauts, completely destroyed us in that aspect. And so as a result, when that was starting to happen, they were really branding and throwing out their $50 million campaign. We couldn't do it because a lot of our money was already sunk into the inventory costs at that time. And so when we really wanted to start turning things around, a lot of it was just simply too late. And in many ways, Hudson was never thought of as a real marketing company. And if you take a look back at our ads and our box art, I think, is a pretty good example.
Yeah.
Lack of foresight into that particular area. But, that really kind of set the tone for what happened with the system. They couldn't scale and build up the kind of branding awareness that they needed to compete. Which is really too bad. I think it's, again, the system was great. I loved it. A lot of the technology that they used in there hadn't been done before. And I loved the games, but Sega and Nintendo, kudos to them because they really put together an absolutely kick-ass campaign to sell their system.
Damn. Wait, hold on. Go ahead.
But one of the reasons I think, in a way, it's kind of cool that the TurboGRAFX kind of lost that battle because two of some of the most, well-regarded consoles ever are the TurboGRAFX and the Dreamcast. Because they kind of only were around for a certain amount of time. They only had a small amount of games, but the games they did have were really amazing. So in a way, you kind of made a place in video game history by having, that small cycle, I guess. So in a way, it kind of worked out for the best, I guess.
Yeah, that's a very beautiful way of putting it, and it sounds very all Nirvana-esque. Go out during your height.
Spin on everything.
I guess the finance people, though, at Hudson aren't going to be agreeing with me.
Yeah, the finance team, I'm sure, weren't happy about it. But I love it because you're right. When everyone goes back and talks about the TurboGRAFX system, it's all about, toast to one of the best systems around. And that's a great thing to look back on, quite frankly. So It really
Yeah,
helped.
now that I mean
would
we're
say
talking
it's really
about retro
saved our-
gaming, like none of that stuff matters anymore. Like those ads and box art, none of that stuff matters anymore.
But it's
Because now
awesome.
now it all comes down to just how good were the games.
Yeah, totally.
That's true. But what was it? The Johnny Turbo? Didn't there was like?
Oh,
Yeah,
Johnny
there was some bad
Turbo
stuff.
was
Good old
bad.
Johnny Turbo.
I love someone. Was it one of the commenters put a picture of him in
Yeah,
our
he
comment
did.
post? It was awesome. The guy's got like 95 little like small little like what do you like bags like fanny packs all over him.
This looks like fan art for Cable from the Marvel superhero stable.
Yeah, he's like a fat. He's like Cable's fat brother who hangs out in his basement. He's got his hat on backwards and sunglasses.
Yeah, I would have
Goggles.
say that was the peak of our marketing genius back in the day. Although Johnny Turbo was a real guy.
What? Really?
Yeah,
Really?
he's a real guy. I actually saw him recently in one of our boat tour parties.
That's incredible.
That's amazing.
Oh my god.
There was a lot of very indie sort of things that were happening back then. I mean, if you think about it, it was a pretty small group of people that worked on it. So there's a lot of this sort of, homage and sort of thing to different people that you just probably didn't realize. Like, another great one. If you ever played Dungeon Explorer, there's actually a secret ending in that game that if you ever managed to unlock it, but it references like, screw this kingdom, who cares? I'm going to go out and, hook up with, women and all the booze I can get and drive off in my Cadillac or something like that. And I remember reading this recently doing ESRB submissions, and I'm like, who in the world wrote this? This is so obscure. And everyone in the office goes, dude, that's got to be John Greiner who wrote that. And John Greiner's our president. And so sure enough, I went to him like, did you ever see this? He's like, oh yeah, I can't believe someone actually found this. But he put it in the game as an Easter egg, and he was a translator back in the day. So apparently there's a lot more of these little references that he hit everywhere, but that was the only one I've been able to find.
Is that the only one
awesome.
you'll admit to? That's hilarious.
That is awesome.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Dungeon Explorer is one of my favorite games for the TurboGrafx. For anyone out there that's listening to this that hasn't played that game, it's available for the Virtual Console, and it is seriously so much fun with 4 to 5 people. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's a great game. It was, in my mind, the first true action RPG. And, they took Gauntlet and kind of put it on steroids. So we're actually bringing the series back in February on DS and PSP. So hopefully you can. Well.
Did you just hear Chad?
I'm sorry. My brain just didn't take it in. Couldn't take it. Can you say it again?
Oh, that's so awesome.
They're bringing Dungeon Explorer back for the DS and PSP.
Yeah, so there's an updated version launching on those two platforms next month, actually. Pretty close now. It uses the same kind of mechanic where you're, trying to create a custom character, build a party going out, but it's much deeper now. They have a new arts system in place, which is sort of like how you manage your skill sets, where you have different arts for battling and other skill sets that are peripheral, like, lock picking and collecting gold and finding treasure and that sort of thing. But it really is if you will, the wrapping of the trilogy of the Dungeon Explorer story. I think the DS one tells what happens to the story about 1,000 years after the TurboGrafx version went, and the PSP one tells the prequel, if you will. So,
so they're two completely different games.
Yeah, they're actually two completely different games.
Oh, wow.
Even though they're called the same thing, but they're set in completely different timelines.
Oh, happy.
Wow, that's amazing.
Chad's fully naked now.
This is like the greatest podcast ever. Actually, I just had a really quick question. Like, John, what was your favorite game for the TurboGrafx? I have to know because I have so many.
I have a lot too, but I also, one that sticks out for me simply because of the utter addictive quality of it and how I was completely just sucked in like a crack whore was Military Madness. When I played that game and I was hooked on it, I would dream that theme song over and over again in my head. And I couldn't get it out, so I absolutely loved that game, and I would play it over and over again just to figure out different strategies for solving it. And that was a start for me of like loving these turn-based strategy games.
Yeah, the TurboGrafx had a lot of those too, actually.
Yeah.
Like the TurboGrafx was kind of like the real Japanese gaming system. Like the Nintendo was kind of like Americanized all their games, and like the ones that were like way too Japanese, you never made it. And then Genesis was like, well, no, we like Japan. And then, but they would, bring over good stuff. But, like, TurboGRAFX is, like, I think they just brought it's so much over, and they were just, like, changed the name from, like, Japanese title to, English title. And they were, like, done.
It pretty much is. I mean, if you look at Japanese games, that was the platform. I mean, that's where all of our games came from. There was very little of any actual U.S. development. Like I said, towards the tail end, and I realized we really need to tap into that, especially the sports market. With the U.S. utter fascination with sports, we really had to tap into that, which is what Sega did really well.
And you guys didn't really do all that well with world-class track meet. Oh man, we reviewed that on the show like a while ago, and I was like, "This game's awful."
Or world sports competition. I think that's what it was.
Oh, was it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was like, I could
what's
not
funny?
figure out how to do the archery thing
I will say this:
life.
World Class was a world sports competition. We're actually planning to, because we're launching a new game as well in the summertime called Deck of Sports.
Yeah,
for the Wii.
which looks awesome.
I was pretty. This was me, so maybe I'm glad I lose a couple of battles here. But I was like, wouldn't it be brilliant to rebrand this as World Sports Competition and relaunch it in the U.S. as a, all new version of what this classic brand was? And everyone was like, that classic brand sucks, John. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you had retro goggles. You're like, no, it was awesome. No.
I'm like, no, man, that was the Bob. Come on.
No, it's fucking awful. Sorry.
To this day, every single week, literally, for the last, however many years, I still play Devil's Crush at least once a week.
Oh my god, I just
Chad loves that game.
That game is so ridiculously addictive, and I love it. And I wish the pinball game genre would come back more, because I think those pinball games are so much fun, especially if done well, like Devil's Crush and Alien Crush.
Well, if you guys really want to, that's another one too. If you really want to, start the petition on, it's right now on the fence in terms of where we are. Because we get together every so often, talk about brands to bring back and things to
bring back. Magical Chase.
It's right on the fence. Magical Chase, I can't say it's in anyone's top of mind lately these days.
Which one is that?
It's like
it was a
shooter.
Yeah, side-scrolling shooter, right?
Little witch.
Yeah,
with the little star options.
Oh,
that's a hard game to find. I think we spent like $500 on eBay just to buy it so we could have a copy of it ourselves.
Wow.
That's great though.
That's hilarious.
You wouldn't be surprised how we have absolutely no library of our past games. I don't know why we've never kept anything. I'd say this is another great story. Number 3. About a year ago, when I heard we still had a warehouse up in Washington from our last iteration back when we were launching TurboGRAFX days, I had to go see it, especially since they said that they were going to shut it down and just throw everything away. I'm like, no, don't throw everything away yet. Let me go see what's in there first. So I bought a ticket up there, and this place is out in the middle of nowhere in Washington State. And it clearly hadn't been open in a while because everything was rusted, the hinges. It looked like, walking in to a Indiana Jones
tomb. Could afford. You buy this warehouse in a forest in Washington.
I love it. It's great. It's so mysterious. It's like
it was like 15 years ago. I'm sure back then everything was, maybe it was a thriving part of town, and now it's a ghost town.
Yeah. They're like, when Hudson pulled out, that's when the town died. Sorry, go ahead. What was there?
That thing was... it was really out like Indiana Jones movie when we finally discovered this place. It took me forever, too. Even with GPS, it got lost twice. I tried to open the door. It was hinged, so I got to literally get a rock and a plywood to try to hammer this thing open. And then, when you got the thing open, I swear to God, lights sort of shone out from heaven to earth, and, music came on with opera people singing. And it was thousands of games from the last 25 years.
Oh my god!
Stuff
oh my
that
god!
I hadn't seen before. And boxed brand new from PC Engine, PCFX, Super Graphics Systems, Turbo Games. It was the mother load. I'm like, I am not throwing this away. So I literally by myself for 3 days straight would just take boxes of stuff and say, look, guys, I'm here for meetings, and went to the post office and ship back box after box. It must have been 30 boxes at the end of the day. And I would just package this all it was Christmas, shipping it to myself almost.
Wow. Oh my god! Did you get to keep all of it?
It's all right now in our office, and we're trying to slowly tag and sort through all of this, but I'd say probably we got to a third because, you know, a lot of people here are new, too. No one has that sort of institutional knowledge of where these and what these games were about, and half of them are in Japanese, too, so I don't know if anyone out there is an utter fan who loves this sort of stuff, but we can sure use an intern.
Yeah, I'll be right over.
Wow, he's on the way.
I'm on the way. I'll take the BART over tomorrow. Dude, that'd be fucking epic, man. I have like weird dreams where like I'm always end up in some weird import shop and they have every game ever made, and they're all like $1. Now I'm gonna have dreams where it's like I open up and there's the Ark of the Covenant and it's full of all the games ever made.
That was just the most amazing finding to me. As a gamer, to me it was like, wow, I cannot believe there's just so much stuff here that I've never even heard about and seen before. And
that's awesome. Stuff
that I had less morals probably would have sold on eBay long ago.
Yeah, I know, huh? Dude, finding TurboGRAFX 16 games is so hard.
Yeah.
Like, it is. I'm the kind of person that, like, you know, I'll not download stuff, but more often than not, I actually just want the game, like the actual game itself. And it's Tristero, one of the other editors on our site, gave me a TurboGRAFX 16 because I sold my old one long time ago, and he gave me a new one because it's so hard to find. I went on eBay and I typed in TurboGRAFX 16, 3 came up. 3. Like, that's it. On all of eBay, it was only 3. And now try to find games. Oh my God, they're fucking expensive as hell, and they're super hard to find because there weren't that many out there. Like, nobody, the system didn't take off as well as, you know. So there's not like there's like with, you know, Genesis games where there's like 1,000 million copies of Sonic 2. It's like I want that. Go to that warehouse. Take me to your warehouse.
Oh, that warehouse is like my heaven.
I know. Well, hey Topher, did you have some excellent questions picked out to the listeners?
Nilcam says, what was the best add-on for the Turbo? The CD drive, Super CD upgrade chip, the Turbo Tap, or Turbo Booster? Also, which was the best shmup on the system?
What did the Turbo Booster do again? I don't even remember what that thing did.
I had that, actually.
Wasn't
It was if you open up your not open, but yeah, if you open up your TurboGRAFX, there'll be a note from John Lee that says thanks for buying the TurboGRAFX. But if you just take the thing off the back, if you take off the back, there's an expansion port, and what it would do is it added audio, like AV cables, so you could hook up your stereo, added stereo sound.
Remember that?
Right.
I think it may have added a battery backup. I'm not really sure. I don't know. Because some games, like, I was playing Newtopia 2 on the Virtual Console. Yeah. Oh, yeah, exactly.
The Newtopia games are precious jewels in my memory. Like, I absolutely love those games.
Yeah, you guys need to bring that back. I don't care.
Yes.
That would be awesome on the... All right, never mind. Now I'm just fanboying out. What the thing, though, is you would put in a password. Because the memory cards, I guess, didn't have any, like, save states or anything like that, or battery backups.
Right.
And so you'd have to put in a password. But in the actual game, it has a save file too. So I'm wondering, like, I don't remember exactly. I was hoping you know, but you don't remember. But
I think you're jogging my memory now.
Yeah, the booster I think may have had a little bit of RAM, so you could actually in certain games like have a save file. That's I'm not sure.
So that's almost like a hard drive. It's almost like the first.
It was.
hard drive.
I guess you could call it a booster. Then overall, yeah, it had like audio-visual inputs that were better. It did have the save state stuff as well. Actually, that was a hell of a great add-on because for any of you guys from back in the day, remember how to type in 400-digit letter codes to save your games? Sweet Jesus, that would make me drink.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing ever. Those codes were so ridiculously long, those passwords.
The worst is when programmers would type in, like, O's and the number 0 and I's and the lowercase L's, and you can't tell the freaking difference.
Yes.
Yeah,
I totally remember.
Oh, man.
No, Dude, the worst one was fucking Metroid, because half those fuckers weren't even letters.
That's what I was going to say. They added those weird symbols, which was so confusing.
You're like, a squiggly thing that kind of looks like a cursive L and a pound sign. You're like, what the fuck is that? Oh, God. Oh,
yeah, that was crazy.
That one, Turbo Boost is definitely on the top of the list of a hell of a great peripheral, because they didn't have that kind of stuff back then.
Well, what was about the the Turbo CD like came out? Did they have a lot of games for that? Because I don't remember there being that many here in North America.
The Turbo CD Ultimate, I think, in the different variation units only sold about 100,000 total in this particular market.
Really?
So there wasn't many. Yeah. So if you ever want to like have one of those collections of like really cool systems, anything to do with the Turbo CD, and those games were truly, I mean, they were fantastic, and there were a lot of great games on the Turbo CD. So yeah, I mean, that was really a fantastic add-on piece. That if you talk about an accessory, that's worth getting.
I think the sequel to Air Zonk was a Turbo CD game.
Yeah, the sequel to Air Zonk was on Turbo CD. The best game in my mind for shooters, I think you raised this question earlier, is Lords of Thunder and the other one. What's its other sister product? Not Lords of Thunder, but Gates of Thunder. Those two games were on a Turbo CD system, and were just amazing. In fact, I think they both won Game of the Year when they came out.
Really?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think EGM gave it like Game of the Year or Game of the Month or something like that, because it was amazing. It was like the first time you ever had like a rock soundtrack playing, and the gaming was just fantastic. So worth getting.
Didn't they have? Was it Red Alert? Was like one of the first Turbo CD games? Am I wrong?
Red Alert was one of them, but that one,
it was a piece. No, it was a piece of shit. It was a piece of shit. But I remember it was awesome because I was like super into like anything Japanese and anime at the time, and I remember I had like these really crappy ass like cutscenes, where like you see like the soldier, and I was just like, oh, I want that so bad. It looks so awesome.
Well, I will say this: if you never had a chance to play any of those games, and a lot of them were really great, you can start playing a lot of them now on the Virtual Console Nintendo.
Yep.
Because we did just announce that a lot of us are coming back on that, and if Game of Thunder and Lord of Thunder aren't on there yet, they will be pretty soon. I remember seeing them on the roadmap, and I don't know if I should have made that announcement, but I think they're coming out pretty soon. So.
Well, awesome. That's actually one of I do the Virtual Console stuff every week, and it's exciting to see, like, Super Mario Brothers 3 or, like, Super Metroid, all these huge games. But the thing I get the most excited about on Virtual Console is to play, like, old TurboGrafx games, things that you don't get to play anymore. Like when Newtopia 2 came out, my head almost exploded because those games are so great, and, like, I still have them on my TurboGrafx, but it's just so nice to be able to play them, like, nice and new on your...
I actually have Newtopia 2, and I still bought it on my Virtual Console. Aww.
And I think that's what's so great about the Virtual Console, is that all these cool older games that a lot of people never got to play, they get to experience for the first time.
Yeah, fucking Hudson is like so on board with that shit. You guys are
it's awesome.
Day one. You're like,
yes, that's what everybody should be doing with that.
Well, I will say it's pretty brilliant of Nintendo to got together all the old rivals onto one system. I mean, that was a hell of a coup, really.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Was there a lot of negotiating? Was it kind of like, Nintendo comes back and it's like, Hudson's like, the girlfriend that got jilted, and they're like, hey, what's up? I'm really sorry about how things worked out. I got this thing called a Virtual Console. Could I get you some dinner? Nintendo's all pimp and shit. Oh, good.
Well, it's a lot of love actually with Nintendo. I mean, Hudson's been in their camp in partners with them for, I will say, forever at this point. I mean, we were the first third-party publisher that actually worked with them, so it goes back a long way. They've been invested with Hudson. We make games for them. We're really closely tied at the hip, and when things are lean and mean with Nintendo with some of their console years, we were lean and mean with them, and now that they're doing really well, we're making a great comeback as well. So
you can spend.
It was a natural sort of partnership.
You can spend money bringing back the Crush series.
Please.
What else? What else do we want? The Dungeon Explorer, Bonk.
Dungeon Explorer,
Lasers, Magical Chase.
Dude, you have to have another Blazing Lasers. That was the best fucking shooter I've ever played, and I remember playing it. The rich kid in my school who did have the TurboGRafx 16 also, who got it because he's rich and an asshole, let me borrow Blazing Lasers, and I fucking love that. That was like a game that really at the time I thought showed off like how powerful the TurboGRafx was, because it had so many different like cool effects, and like parallax scrolling like out the ass, and like you had this one weapon where you would shoot bubbles, and it's like in most games it kind of just like, this is a drawing of a bubble, but in that game it actually, you could, like, it was defined enough to the point where you could see the reflection of things off it. Or like,
it had true bubble physics.
Yes, it was advanced bubble physics. And no, it's just fucking cool. I just remember playing this. I'm like, man, this is the best game ever.
It's a fucking awesome game.
Yeah, you know, I would love to join you and think that we'll bring it back, but it probably isn't anywhere on the horizon. It's difficult with shooters these days. It's like one of those bygone eras you got to spill a 40 to, you know?
No.
Well, don't say that to Topher. He'll kill himself.
Well, you know, we just launched the Omega 5.
I was going to ask, how'd that do? How's that doing on live? Is it doing well? Is it selling well?
And I know you guys love it. I will say this. It's doing great for a shooter. But it's definitely nowhere in the class of, you know, where Bomberman's at or any other, like, games that, quite frankly, fit today's demographics. It doesn't mean we won't make any more games like that, but will we ever, you know, bring back something like Blazing Lasers? It's difficult now in today's market.
All right, well,
that's the saddest thing I've heard all day.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Oh, man, all right. Didn't mean to end on that note.
No, I know, huh? Well, hey, I gotta ask this question because I was looking up stuff. Like, I had the audio booster or the turbo booster, and I had the TurboGRAFX, and that was it. I didn't get the CD and nothing, but I was like looking up, and they had a shit ton of those add-ons, like the Nilcam asked, and there was like all these fucking cards that you could buy, and it actually was reading through the whole Wikipedia thing, and I ended up getting like really confused after a point, and it sounds like the TurboGRAFX had like 47 different like card add-ons that you could somehow like make it a better system. And I'm confused even thinking about it now, honestly.
Are you talking about the TurboGRAFX or are you talking about the PC Engine?
Oh yeah, okay, now I'm even more confused. Wasn't there like there was like an arcade card, there was a super card, there was like some other card, and like a greeting card? Like you all fucking plugged it into your TurboGRAFX and it had like more RAM and shit. Like I guess it was kind of reminds me of like what Sega did like back in the day, and they're like, well, we've got the Master System converter, and then we got the 32X, and then we have the Sega CD, and then it was all about fucking add-ons and add-ons to make systems more powerful. And I'm like, did that like have any effect on, like on the you guys' bottom line, and possibly like had a lot to do with the fact that you're spending all this money to like make all these weird RAM add-ons, and then you're like, oh wow, we're losing money.
Well, it's difficult for me to say whether or not that was a smart strategy or not, because at the end of the day, they did and were very powerful and successful back in the day. And so, you know, in that perspective, it seemed like it did very well for them. I mean, that was a way for them to continually expand the hardware. And the Japanese market was much more receptive to that than the U.S. one, so we did a lot more of that sort of, you know, continual upgrades. But, you know, if you take a step back and look at it from an analyst standpoint, every time you kind of add a add-on piece, your user base for that piece becomes much smaller. And if you only make games for that versus for the larger market, you make less money. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so as you add on this and you add on that, and they only have certain people can buy this, certain people can buy that, you really sort of spread the market out pretty thin, where you can only make certain kinds of games with certain kind of products. So I can't imagine in the long run that being a strong strategy. But at the time, it seemed like it did pretty well for them.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was just confused because like there were so many cards, and I was like, all I remember is my TurboGRAFX, and I remember it was awesome, and I was happy, and I wish the games were easier to find on eBay because I didn't get enough of them when I was a kid because I was not the rich kid. Are there any other questions or anything else for Mr. Lee?
I think we've covered everything.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I
literally am like
we've
so
answered all the
right
questions now with the
through general
with the
conversation.
Podcast. Yeah.
Do we have a winner
I wanted to
question?
mention the arcade stick though.
Oh,
the
okay.
arcade stick peripheral, which was fucking awesome.
Ooh.
And yeah, that's all.
I never.
I love that thing.
Do you also have an NES Advantage?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
I had one of those.
Anytime one of those things becomes available for a console, that's like one of the first things that I get. I love those things, those arcade sticks.
Yeah, they're great.
I don't have one for my PS2.
No? No, you should
No.
get one. No, that reminds me. Hey, was it Street Fighter came out for the PC Engine or TurboGRAFX?
Street Fighter was one of the first Turbo CD games, actually, if I remember correctly. Yeah, the very first Street Fighter, not the one that everyone ultimately remembers, which is the second one that kind of became the basis for the whole series, but the very first one.
Oh, okay. All right, because
which is actually worth taking to go back and look at. Most people have never seen that version, and I wouldn't exactly say that was a great game. It was the mechanics for the fighting were really difficult to pull off. They really didn't get the combo system nailed down to the sequel.
Yeah,
the first Street Fighter was weird.
Yeah, the first Street Fighter didn't know if it was like Final Fight or a two-person fighting game because you
That's
would
a good
go
point.
through
I think
level.
it was in that between. Yeah.
Yeah, you would go through all the way through the level like Kung Fu, and then you get to the end, and then you would have like the one-on-one fight, and whatever health you had left over, you had to use in your fight. So it was like kind of unfair. And I don't know. That game wasn't that good. But I thought for some reason it was Street Fighter that was on the Turbo CD, but. No,
it was Street Fighter. That was
no, I meant Street Fighter 2. I'm sorry. Every time I say Street Fighter, I just automatically think Street Fighter 2. But no, Street Fighter, the original. Sorry, my old brain doesn't work too well.
The very original, yeah.
Aw, poor old brain.
Brain. Awesome. Well, anything else? You want any more memories of the TurboGRAFX? It's for the listeners, if you guys haven't noticed this was an awesome system that didn't really take off as well as it should. It's huge in Japan, which I wonder why they didn't really continue in that market for longer, but
yeah, keep an eye on it on Virtual Console when you hear about TurboGRAFX 16 games coming up, and it's probably stuff that you've never heard of, but just check them out because there are a lot of really awesome games for that system that you're not going to find anywhere else.
Except for JJ and Jeff, don't check that one out.
Yeah, don't bother with that.
Yeah, if you're gonna play JJ and Jeff, you have to play the Japanese version, Kato and Ken, because that version is freaking hilarious.
Wasn't JJ and Jeff like heavily censored or something?
It was censored to the point of like why even bother? I mean the Japanese version
that's how I felt.
had you had people running into the bathroom stalls and pooping on the walls and you can piss on things. It was so over the top hilarious that it was worth getting. So every time I go back to Japan, then I'm always looking for a JJ and Jeff or the Kato and Ken version there because it's such a collectible now.
Oh. That's awesome.
That I would play. The JJ and Jeff American one is horrible. It's like throw up on bread.
Yes.
Yes. That was awesome. All right, man. Well, John, thanks for coming on. Fucking appreciate it. Listeners,
thanks, John.
Go buy some.
No problem. It's good times.
And what is our homework? We have to go. We have to write Hudson and say we want Bonk back. We want the Crush back. We want. I don't know why not
Magical
Military
Chase.
Menace. Magical Chase.
Well, I'm going to Japan next week to throw my temper tantrum, so while I'm there, I'll bring up all these points.
Excellent.
Fucking awesome. All right, dude, anything you want to say to the listeners before we're out of here, John?
What do I want to say? I figure I should make a plug, right? A plug or two?
Sure.
Let's see.
Plug away.
Mega 5.
Plug away.
We know that Destructoid guys love it, and everyone at least has to check out the intro with the Glacial Fortress.
Glacial Fortress. Okay. Now that we have an actual fucking motherfucking Hudson employee on, what the fuck is with the Glacial Fortress?
Wait,
I love it.
John, please tell me it was on purpose, please.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll tell you then that we did it on purpose.
Oh, no.
No.
I knew it.
Are you serious? Really, really?
If we were that clever about how to replicate that level of detail and a nuance like that and say we did it on purpose, then I'm going to sure we were that smart. But I think it probably has more to do with someone there thought that their Uncle Jimmy was pretty good at doing voiceovers.
Well,
That's the best story ever.
it's obvious that, his pronunciation is obviously, the quote-unquote Asian stereotype. Great Glacial Fortress. Like, were Hudson like, haha, this is funny? Or were they like, here you go?
I will say it was
how
one
it
of the
is.
things that we had mapped out as, if we get time to address this, we should get it changed. But it was really far down the list. I mean, the first one, and I don't know if you guys actually remember this because I think only Lindy came out during that time, but the control scheme for that whole game was dramatically different when we were in development.
Really?
Yeah. In fact, it was really difficult. The way it worked was that if you pressed, I think, A, you would rotate one direction. If you press B, rotate the other
You mean
one.
there's a harder version of Omega 5?
It was nigh impossible in that.
Oh, I want that one.
Topher's probably
Really?
one of the best shoot 'em up people on the planet.
He's a shmup master.
I want the hard one.
Oh.
Send me a copy of that.
Well, we changed it because we realized for the U.S. market, everyone loved the Geometry War type of control scheme, and we spent a lot of time fine-tuning those controls to be updated that way. But yeah, if you really want to go back and play that, I'm sure we have a version out here somewhere. If you can get past level 2 with that one, then yes, you are truly a god at shooters.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
A challenge.
I thought Omega 5 was way too easy.
You're kidding me.
No.
I know, he's crazy. He's crazy.
Well,
John,
wait.
Keep it in context. This is the same guy that thinks Taiko Drum Master is easy, and the guy who like laments that like, oh, I wish I could beat Ikaruga without having to use one continue.
Okay, highest score on Omega 5. What is it for you?
I don't know. I haven't played it in a few
I think it's in the 3 million, at the high
He's
3
number
million.
2 on our personal
4 million,
leaderboard. I know
something like
that.
Okay.
Like on our friends
well, if you beat
leaderboard,
my
he's
score of about 6 million, then also you're
What?
hardcore.
We got 6
Challenge!
Ooh.
Wait, I really
Don,
feel
we
like
called
challenge
you
coming
out.
on.
Uh-oh, man. You're
And
such
I'm
a
not that good here.
Go
I'm
get
actually probably like the 3rd or 4th best here. But there's the beauty of that game is there's so many layers of strategy that goes far beyond like once you beat it.
Oh, yeah,
In terms of understanding how the scoring system works, it's actually really fine. Well,
Yeah, I haven't really figured out how the scoring system works yet.
Yeah, I love how when you build up your combo, that little circular thing starts going down, and you have to constantly be shooting something or you'll lose your combo. And I think that is, once you figure that out, it totally adds so much strategy to replaying to get a high score. I love it. I think it's awesome.
Oh yeah, it's great. So that's a great game. Bomberman Land comes out this next week, so you got to go pick that up.
Yes.
And a lot of people didn't buy the first version, so I'm hopeful that people will buy this one.
Buy it!
Buy it. Is this for what?
It's for the Wii, DS, and PSP. And it's a great game,
Yay.
actually. I don't want to knock it because it didn't sell well the first time. I'll much chalk that up to my fault because we launched the same weekend as a PS3 system and the Wii system. Probably not the most brilliant launch strategy.
Yeah, you're like, oh, nothing's going on this week. Why don't we put out a game?
Well, this is a good time to launch because this is the time when there's no games at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. This is the perfect time because everyone's bought their system. They're thinking about, what game do I want to play with my family? And, Bomberman really is that kind of game.
Bomberman is a great series.
Are there any, big surprise games or import games come in for the Virtual Console that you can either tell us about or specifically, any cool, it was only released on the PC Engine, anything like that, like Nintendo does with their...
You know what? Let me pull on my email and take a look at our launch calendar.
Actually, I have a really, really fast question that maybe while you're looking that up, I've always wondered how this works. But how do, when the Virtual Console games come out, does Nintendo contact the people and ask about stuff, or do you guys go to Nintendo, requesting that, I want to put this game on the Virtual Console, and then they approve it? I've always wondered which way it works.
I can't go into too much detail about that. Basically, we control our lineup and our launch strategy. So it really kind of comes down to, for us, going out and determining what games people want to see. If it's not our game, if it's a third-party game, we go and try to find those publishers to get the rights to republish them on the Nintendo Virtual Console. But the calendar, for the most part, is mapped out by us.
That's really
and I would say it's probably the same thing with Sega and everyone else does, too.
Yeah, we gotta get some inside scoop.
Yeah, what's inside skinny?
Let's see here. Riot Zone. Oh, yeah, Riot Zone's coming out. Yeah, it just came out.
Yeah, that came out last week.
Awesome game. Go buy it twice.
Go buy it
what
twice.
happened to all the fanfare? All right. Well, here's one if you like Dungeon Explorer. Dungeon Explorer 2 is coming out soon, too. And this is actually the very rare version that was on the Turbo CD.
I didn't even know there was a Dungeon Explorer 2. I'm really excited.
That's how rare it was. Because
yeah, for real.
You're like, only 7 people did, and they lived in Canada.
Let's see. Lords of Thunder is on its way as well. And
I just like that name. We are the Lords of Thunder.
It's an awesome name. Yeah, the more shooters,
on here,
the better.
Fighting Street as well. So that's the Street Fighter version.
Oh, it is coming out. That's awesome.
Yeah, it is coming out.
Sweet. Yeah, you'll download it and be like, wow, thank God for Street Fighter 2.
What was that one game that you said that you really wanted? Magical Chase or something?
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, that would be awesome if that came out.
Chad would run around.
Can you edit that email and just type in Magical Chase somewhere on there?
Oh yeah, good idea.
Yeah, I approve Magical Chase. Can you guys get this done?
Yeah,
great.
Did that game launch under a different name in the U.S.? Was it called Cotton in the U.S.?
No, it's
Cotton
similar
was-
to Cotton. It's similar
It's
to
like
Cotton,
Cotton,
but it's a different
but
game.
no.
Because I see Cotton in our roadmap.
Really?
Really? That's awesome.
Oh,
Cotton's
really?
awesome.
Yeah, and that one's a very rare one because I remember spending $600 on eBay for that one. So
Oh, hell yeah.
that I think was a shooter as well.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Awesome.
There's some pretty obscure stuff. I mean, I think
All right.
the fun part of the whole virtual console thing for us is that it's given a chance that these really obscure ones, and I know people kind of will bash Riot Zone or even some of the World Sports Competition, but it's given a chance though for everyone to go back and see this whole library. Otherwise, all we had to do was maybe to launch the top 20, and we would be all said and done. But there's some really obscure stuff that it's just worth going back and playing, and seeing the history of everything. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's true. I never really thought about it that way.
Well over 50 games that we launched so far, and I like the fact that it has the hot stuff, the obscure stuff, and even the stuff that you just want to go back and play and laugh at because you're wondering who actually bought this game before.
Oh God, what was that fucking shitty kung fu game that I downloaded for the TurboGRAFX 16 on the Virtual Console? It's like you basically
China Warrior.
Yes. Oh God, that's
Oh.
such a horse shit. Oh man.
Yeah, that was a launch title, so you can imagine the quality.
Oh, that thing had 4 pallets total, and one of them was just Bruce Lee imitation. And that was it. Oh God.
Awesome.
All right.
Wow.
Cool. We got some awesome stuff to look forward to. Thanks for sharing that with us, dude. That was rad.
No problem.
Now we're definitely going to let everybody go so we can go play some video games. And like I said, thanks for coming on, man. Listeners. Oh, wait. Did we mention the winner of the contest?
Nilcam is the winner. Of the contest.
Nilcam! Please send us
Congratulations.
please send us your normal contact information at retroforce@destructoid.com. Thank you.
And how about this? I'll throw in a free copy of Omega 5 for him, too.
Hey!
Nice.
Oh!
Thank you, John.
That's awesome.
Thanks, dude. Fucking
I love
Nilcam is
fans.
you just made a fan for life.
Yeah.
Or as I like to call them, my bread and butter.
Wait a minute. I'm sorry. What did you say the username is at one?
Nilcam.
Nilcam. Okay. Just wanted to make sure I was thinking of the right person.
Awesome. All right, well, hell, that was a fucking awesome show. All right.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get out of here. Chad's fully naked, so he's got stuff to do. He's got to get on a plane to Japan and make shit happen, so we're going to let him go.
Long RPG, Chad. Work for it.
Yeah. I'll keep you guys updated next week.
All right. Cool. Well, I'm out of here, so take it easy. Bye.
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 Blazers.
Awesome. All right, one more time. I totally recorded that.